Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. A former White House lawyer for Donald Trump is now blasting Press Secretary Karoline Levit on national television, and it is brutal.
I don't think creepy Karoline, when she speaks, I don't think anybody in America really takes her seriously on a matter of substance. I mean, she's not, learned by any imagination.
America cannot function if President Trump, or any other president for that matter, has their sensitive diplomatic or trade negotiations railroaded by activist judges.
I think her comments are clearly so defensive and so ill-informed that people might largely turn her out.
The courts should have no role here. There is a troubling and dangerous trend of unelected judges inserting themselves into the presidential decision-making process.
These courts are not trying to participate in international trade matters. All they're doing is ruling on whether a statute authorizes actions by a president.
In this case, it's the International Economic Powers Act. President Trump cited the nearly 50-year-old act when he imposed his global tariffs in April. The question for the courts is straightforward and simple.
Did Congress delegate its authority to the president under this statute? And the statute in question has never in history been used in connection with tariffs.
On top of ruling that Trump exceeded his authority under the statute, the court also dismissed Trump's claim that trade deficits mean a president can bypass Congress.
These are not really controversially reasoned decisions. The Court of International Trade opinion was 3 judges, including a Trump appointee, Tim Reif, who, very serious judge, highly regarded, one of the most experienced trade lawyers of our time before he went on the court.
These judges are threatening to undermine the credibility of the United States on the world stage.
The judges are threatening U.S. credibility on the world stage, says Karoline Levit, and not Donald Trump? Keep in mind, Trump has changed his position on tariffs dozens of times. According to legal experts, the argument over the statute is not a close call.
So I think the likelihood is that this statute will be upheld and enforced in a way that, precludes the president from trying to pretend that he has these all-encompassing powers.
In the meantime, on top of Karoline Levit lashing out at the federal judiciary, Donald Trump himself is clearly angry and exasperated. And when Trump doesn't get his way, he often delivers unhinged diatribes on social media. In a recent post, Trump blasted the head of the Federalist Society, who recommended in Trump's first term many of the conservative judges now ruling against Trump. Quote, "It was suggested that I use the Federalist Society as a recommending source on judges. I did so openly and freely, but then realized that they were under the thumb of a real sleazebag named Leonard Leo, a bad person who in his own way probably hates America and obviously has his own separate ambitions. He openly brags how he controls judges and even justices of the United States Supreme Court. I hope that is not so and don't believe it is. In any event, Leo left the Federalist Society to do his own thing. I am so disappointed in the Federalist Society because of the bad advice they gave me on numerous judicial nominations. This is something that cannot be forgotten." Leo is reportedly a close friend of conservative Supreme Court Justices Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett, all nominated to the court by Trump.
You might say, well, what does that have to do with tariffs? And that's not even an issue that Leo's active on, and that's true. But Leo is somebody who's very close to those justices, and we're already seeing signs, right, that the 3 Trump appointees are not so firmly in Trump's camp as some would have expected. And to have that kind of unhinged attack calling Leonard Leo a sleazebag is the word the president used. I mean, it's almost incomprehensible. The last time I saw Leonard Leo was last fall at the Federalist Society conference, and he was not schmoozing with other, wealthy lawyers who were there or other conservative legal activists were there. He was sitting in the lobby of that Hilton Hotel that I know you all are very familiar with, chatting with a Catholic priest and a Catholic nun, okay? So the guy is not a sleazebag. There are many criticisms you can offer of him, and obviously someone who's dispersed billions of dollars in conservative money. There are people that will have disagreements and criticisms, will say he's anti-majoritarian. Those are all things that I think one can debate as reasonable criticism. But to call him a sleazebag is just sort of bizarre lashing out at someone because you didn't get your way. And I don't think that's going to sit well with his friends on the Supreme Court.
So are the Supreme Court justices going to smack back at Trump by rejecting his argument in the tariffs case? Well, Josh Gerstein, who, by the way, is the most well-respected and wired journalist reporting on the court, points out that the conservative originalist bent of most of the justices makes this a difficult case for Trump to begin with.
And you could see the originalists on the court say that, historically, this role of setting tariffs has belonged to the Congress. In fact, what the lower court rulings that just put a hold that was then taken off on these Trump tariffs, that's what they basically said. They said, some kind of emergency power to implement embargoes against rogue foreign countries is not a license to impose, quote unquote, reciprocal tariffs around the world.
So the chances of the Supreme Court reversing the lower court are slim. And now Trump is digging his hole even deeper and making his climb even steeper by attacking a close friend of the conservative Supreme Court justices. Well done, Donald. In the midst of all of this, the internet is having a field day with Trump's anger at being called a taco or Trump always chickens out. Watch.
Kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country. And because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. You call that chickening out?
Brilliant work by Truth Matters at Politics USA 46. And there's a lot more. Michelle posted, Trump always chickens out. Hashtag taco trade. Rex Devlin posted, Trump always chickens out. Hashtag taco. And on TikTok, Binary Infections published this video of Taco Tuesday at the New York Stock Exchange. Trump always chickens out. And those are traders joyfully running around on the floor holding tacos. Na 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 na. I could show you these videos mocking Trump literally all day long. That's how intense the Trump ridicule has become. And for Trump, who previously was the master of belittling people with nicknames, well, I guess you could say the chickens are coming home to roost. Taco Trump keeps trending, as does Creepy Karoline. And the entire Trump team seems to be headed for more humiliation, courtesy of the courts and those justices known as the Supremes. Payback, Donald, is a bitch. By the way, Donald Trump is tanking the U.S. tourism industry, costing American businesses more than $12 billion. It is the latest symbol of America's decline. On social media, passenger cabins on jetliners bound for the United States are mostly empty. International travelers staying away from the United States keep citing one reason: Donald Trump.
I think something really does have to change. I really hope so, for the world, actually, not just for me.
When it comes for vacation, I think there's other places I would rather go.
It's dangerous and nobody is safe there anymore to come to America as a tourist.
25-year-old Lukas Sila from Germany was stopped from entering the U.S. after a trip to Mexico with his American girlfriend. He was shackled and held for 16 days before being allowed to return home.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Jason Davenport, who wrote, $12 billion, and the boss taco says it's no big thing. Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about Taco Trump and Creepy Karoline getting smacked by the internet, on TV, and in the courts. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.